This is KGW News at Sunrise.
Breaking overnight, a shooting in North Portland. This is a live look from North Davis and Saratoga. We will have more details for you coming up.
And we're learning more about an investigation into a patient at OHSU who was apparently hurt in a fire while they were getting surgery.
It's very rare that we get a surgical fire call that has resulted in harm.
Anesthesia and hospital safety experts will run us through how it happened. Plus,
I thought I played the game as it should have been played. I knew it was a game that we needed to win, so I came out with the mentality to attack and be aggressive.
Talk about downplaying your accomplishments. That was Damian Lillard in the locker room last night talking about scoring 60 points.
Dang.
60 points in last night's game against the Jazz. Rod Hill.
Yes.
If you dropped 60 points in an NBA game, would you be a little bit more excited than Dame sounded there in the post-game locker room?
At the very least, I would take the next day off. Yes,
at the very least.
I guess when you've done it before, it's not that impressive when you do it again. Oh, it's still impressive. We'll have more on that big game for Dame coming up a little later.
You don't see that still that often in the NBA, right? 60-point games?
Absolutely, right?
There's a huge historical fact about this, Rod, that we will share with you when the story returns.
Huge historical fact. Then that was a great question I just came up with. All right, we have cloudy skies over the city this morning. We have light winds. We have a temperature of 44 degrees. Same clouds, by the way, for the most part, that we had over the valley yesterday. They haven't budged, and they may not budge again today. So kind of a gray light wind, similar to yesterday kind of day. 43 in Tigard. Now the clouds keep fog from developing, and they also keep the temps from falling off, which keeps the fog from developing. 41 in Salem right now. Day planner for you. We don't do much today. 46 at noon, 48 at 5 p.m. And don't forget, we have rain coming in tonight. Could see the first raindrops in Portland about midnight tonight. That continues into tomorrow morning. That's not connected with the Arctic front. This is just a little bit of rain coming in tonight. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Rod. Now more on the breaking news out of North Portland. There was a shooting just a couple of hours ago, and this is a live look from North Davis and Saratoga. This call came into Portland Police at 2:30. The medical examiner is on scene this morning, although as of yet, police have not confirmed that someone died. But you can see officers have set up their mobile command center. Our crew there is working to get some more information. We will have any updates throughout the newscast this morning.
And this morning, we're also learning more about a fire that injured a patient inside an OHSU operating room.
So this happened back in December, but we just learned about it this week. KGW's Evan Watson has been looking into this story for us, and he found out that federal regulators are involved in the investigation.
KGW has learned a patient was injured on the operating table at OHSU after a fire started while surgeons were using a cauterizing tool around flammable high-flow oxygen. The hospital acknowledged the dangerous situation this week after we started asking questions. The fire happened in December. The hospital immediately launched an investigation into what happened, and federal regulators later conducted their own investigation. The details we've learned from that follow-up offer some clues about what went wrong that day. The hospital was ordered to update its instructions on the use of high-flow oxygen, cautery equipment, and an alcohol-based antiseptic. When surgical fires happen, it often involves a combination of those three things: oxygen, a heat source, and fuel to keep it going.
It's kind of a prime situation in surgery because you're oftentimes using supplemental oxygen when the patient's under anesthesia. A lot of surgical instruments or surgical approaches use cautery or create sparks.
Brett Morgan with the American Association of Nurse Anesthesiology says the surgical community takes this risk seriously, and breakdowns in communication are often to blame. Barbara Malonga, an investigator for the nonprofit ECRI, the Emergency Care Research Institute, agrees.
Let's face it, the ignition source is handled by the surgeon usually. The oxidizer, oxygen's handled by the anesthesiologist, and the nurse is the one that's handling, the drapes and the fuels and stuff. So that team all has to work together to prevent this risk.
However, both Morgan and Malonga say this doesn't happen often.
Very uncommon. A surgical fire is a catastrophic but rare event.
It's very rare that we get a surgical fire call that has resulted in harm.
On Monday, the federal investigators approved the hospital's plan for, quote, long-term sustained resolution. Among 65 million surgeries performed in the United States each year, ECRI estimates there are about 90 to 100 surgical fires.
The procedures that are at highest risk are those that involve the head, neck, face, and upper chest area because of the close proximity of that oxygen source on the face to the ignition source.
Morgan says in most cases, surgical fires are preventable.
This is an element of our training. It's an element of our professional development.
In a statement to KGW, OHSU said the safety of our patients and members is our top priority, and it is deeply concerning to all involved anytime there's a risk of harm. Since the fire, hospital officials said they have more clearly marked when high-flow oxygen is in use and replaced the type of cauterizing tool they use around those oxygen devices. We had many other questions about the incident, but hospital officials declined our interview request, citing those patient privacy laws.
Evan Watson reporting this morning. Now to COVID news. An FDA committee is set to meet this morning to discuss the plan for vaccines moving forward. And now a new study from OHSU says people should get a shot once a year. Researchers found our immune response strengthens over time. They studied people who had what's called hybrid immunity. That means they had COVID, then later got vaccinated, or they were vaccinated and still had a breakthrough infection. Here's the important part. In both cases, they found the immune response was stronger when there was a longer time period between vaccination and infection.
More and more people are getting vaccinated and or have gotten exposed. More and more people are actually having both of those exposures, which is what we studied. And so more and more of the world is going to have a pretty protective immune response. I think what we're seeing is the path forward for how this epidemic is going to go away.
The longest interval in this particular study was 404 days. Researchers say the findings suggest for healthy people, future COVID boosters should be given at least a year apart. The FDA's meeting is set for 10 o'clock this morning.
Now to this morning's headlines. Take a look at this picture. It shows what the U.S. Attorney's Office found in 2 Portland motels this week. Tigard Police, the DEA, Homeland Security all say they recovered more than 2 kilos of rainbow fentanyl. You can see it there. Also 8 guns. Investigators say they also found crystal meth and cocaine. Jose Isidro Zuniga Torres, a 47-year-old Honduran national living in Portland, is facing federal charges, including possession with intent to distribute fentanyl. And the man who attacked another man at a Max platform earlier this month just received TriMet's second ever lifetime ban. Police say on January 3rd, Corin Kramer attacked an elderly man in Gresham, chewing off part of his ear. This was in the early morning hours when the Max wasn't running. Kramer is in jail without bail. TriMet's first lifetime ban was against a serial sex offender. He committed multiple lewd acts and cut women's hair on buses and trains. And in just about an hour, we'll get a look at the latest graduation rates for 2022. It'll give us an idea of how students are rebounding from the pandemic. The Oregon Department of Education will be releasing its findings at 6 a.m. We'll break it all down for you then. By the way, Oregon's graduation rates are some of the lowest in the country. And that's a look at your morning headlines.
All right, back to that Damian Lillard game from last night. We mentioned this right at the top of the hour. So the Blazers won. Let's get that out of the way. The Blazers beat the Jazz last night, 134-124. Damian Lillard had 60 of the Blazers' 134 points. So, Rod, I promised you historical significance in regards to this effort. So here we go.
Right.
Dame is now the first player in NBA history to have 3 games where he scored 60 points, grabbed 5 rebounds, and handed out 5 assists all in the same game.
Wow.
He did that last night. Again, the first player ever to do it 3 times in a career. He's also the 3rd oldest player to grab a 60-point game. Only Kobe Bryant and Steph Curry have been older and scored 60.
Really?
And how about this one? This is the 4th time in his career he scored 60. Tie for 3rd most all time. The only 2 ahead of him on that list, Kobe Bryant and who, Rod? Who has
Curry.
scored?
I'm going to say Curry.
No, who has scored the most 60-point games in their career?
Chamberlain.
Yes. So it's Chamberlain had like 30-something.
Yeah, he was tall, you know.
Kobe Bryant had 6. And now Damian Lillard has had 4 games in his career scoring 60 points.
I guess it's not surprising you wouldn't have that many assists if you score 60 points because you ain't passing the ball, you're shooting the ball.
pretty rare company, though. Wilt, Kobe, Dame.
Amazing.
Yeah, very cool game to see last night. And again, they also won.
I'm telling you, that's why I'm not a sports fan, because they know so many little factoids about baseball and basketball and football. I don't know how you keep track of all that.
Well, let me tell you.
I pulled it off at ESPN last night.
Oh, my God.
That's how I kept track of it.
But seriously, we invest a lot of weekend hours studying up on this stuff.
Yeah, you do.
That's true.
Yeah, you do.
Everybody else is out
I'm
having
not
fun. We're on the couch watching sports, man. It's hard work. All right, hey, real quick. Much of the country's cold this morning. We'll get our turn. Remember the Arctic air coming into our area Saturday overnight into Sunday. It's 5 in Des Moines right now. Okay, real quick. Today, simple stuff. Light winds, cloudy skies that about the time the clouds think they might want to break, we actually have new clouds coming in from the north. So I don't expect much, if any, sun today. We're at 44 degrees right now. The clouds have kept us fairly warm. We do have some breaks in the cloud cover along the coast where there will be more sun today. 32 currently in Astoria and Newport. Out in the gorge, winds also fairly light. The Dow sitting at 41. Okay, Futurecast today shows the clouds like a glove. This is what we had yesterday, just up and down the I-5 corridor. While the gorge gets sun, the coast gets sun, the Cascades get sun. Here we are now, clouds this evening starting to come down. I think we could have the first raindrops as early as midnight tonight. This is 2 a.m. on Futurecast, showing a little bit of rain coming down from the north. Could be 3, 4, 5 inches of snow potentially up on Mount Hood. This is tomorrow morning, some scattered stuff in the area. Then we go dry in the afternoon, and we may or may not open up some sun breaks. So that's the next 24 hours. Here's the Arctic air mass. This is today at 1 o'clock, really plunging down. Remember, Des Moines was, 5 degrees right now? There's that Arctic air right over the heart of the Midwest. Here it comes. Here she comes, Saturday at noon. The Arctic front starting to approach. Now, it's about midnight. I think midnight right now, Saturday overnight, is when that front actually passes. And boom, we quickly see snow levels drop down to sea level. Here we are right in the middle of the purple color. That's the cold Arctic air on Sunday and into Monday. Check out this. Several days ago, this said dusting, maybe 3 inches. And then we went, well, maybe a dusting. Now I'm all the way down to, hey, we get some flurries Saturday overnight, and that's about it. We could actually wake up to sunshine Sunday morning, 30 to 36 Sunday. These lows are in areas that will be windy. Monday morning, 24, Tuesday, 23. If you don't get much east wind where you are, you're blocked somewhat. Your temperatures will easily be down into the teens here in the valley. And the wind chills with gusty east winds Sunday afternoon and Monday in particular are going to be bitterly cold for our area to be outdoors. I do have us all dry Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. That is your forecast with a lot.
Okay.